This year has been a bit of a barnstormer for open worlds, what with Red Dead Redemption 2, Assassin's Creed Odyssey and others, showing what can really be done when a studio is firing on all cylinders, given due time and resources to craft something special. Just Cause 4 feels like an open world game that hasn't been afforded that luxury, its expansive island paradise of solace lacking the same degree of polish and attention to detail that raises a game world to another level. Just Cause 4 isn't a bad game. In fact, it's every bit as fun and riotously knockabout as the previous entries in the series, despite not really doing much with the core concept that's all that new or exciting. This is more of an iteration over Just Cause 3, adding refinements and neat little features over sweeping changes. Even the story is kind of reheated, seeing Rico Rodriguez facing off against yet another oppressive, militarised regime that has the island firmly grasped in its iron grip. Except this time the baddies are using weather to keep the population in check. Yeah, weather. Hence it falls to you, again, to zip around using your grappling hook, parachute and wingsuit, making anything and everything that has red painted on it explode. You'd think that by now the bad guys would have learnt to stop painting explosive stuff bright red, but they haven't. What follows is the same tried and tested Just Cause process of generating chaos, which this time feeds into a persistent army of chaos gauge that levels up and rouses more and more rebel forces to your just cause. This is Just Cause 4's primary twist. As you gain more allied forces to fight at your side, your sphere of influence will gradually spread across Solace's map, as the front line expands outwards with your advance. It's actually a really nice touch that engenders a palpable sense of progression as territory after territory turns from evil red to a friendly pale green. It's also a smart way of slowly unfurling the game's sprawling map bit by bit, rather than plunging you headfirst into a massive sandbox with a bunch of guns and gadgets. Venturing off the leash is still an option of course, and much of your time in Just Cause 4 will be spent neutralising enemy bases so that your band of colourful tie-dyed misfits can take over and fortify. Just Cause 4 also has 3 distinct side threads to pursue when you're not working alongside close friend Mira and old agency buddy Tom Sheldon. With stunts to perform for movie director Garland King, lost artifacts to recover for lover antiquities Javi, and training exercises for Sargento and your army of rebels. As ever, there's no shortage of havoc to create across Solace, and no shortage of vehicles, weaponry and tools with which to wreak it. But Just Cause 4 is essentially more of the same and not particularly accomplished from a technical standpoint. While the frame rate is stable when you're exploring the open world and making things go boom, it inexplicably chugs when you're watching in-engine cutscenes, which also suffer from odd lighting bugs that make hair shimmer and eyes eerily glow, like Rico's from Children of the Corn. Character models in general are kinda ugly, Sheldon now looking a bit like Noel Edmonds in a Hawaiian shirt, and nefarious weather-wielding villain Oscar Espinosa resembles a Team America puppet. Obviously, this doesn't really matter all that much, as you're probably not going to be playing Just Cause 4 for its story, which attempts to inject some drama and emotion into proceedings by getting Rico's father involved. Turns out Papa Rodriguez was instrumental in developing Espinosa's weather control tech, giving rise to not so mysterious meteorological events across the normally sunny Solace. Violent electrical storms give way to swirling tornadoes that tear a destructive furrow across the island, but ultimately, this doesn't really amount to much beyond a handful of short-lived set pieces, and then the ability to toggle each weather effect on and off once you've finished each campaign operation. Wild weather does little to alleviate the repetition of Just Cause 4's objectives too, with the gameplay loop seeing you clear out bases and cause chaos to unlock a story mission. This primarily involves throwing breaker switches, hacking consoles, destroying generators or turbines, signal jammers, and that's about it. The only mission variety comes from the game's side activities for the aforementioned Garland, Javi and Sargento, which in turn unlock new mods for your grappling hook and tethers. As before, there's plenty of joy to be wrung out of the traversal and Rico's toy box filled with gadgets and tricks, including the ability to now tailor your own grappling hook loadouts. You can string enemies to balloons and send them rocketing into the sky, tether 2 helicopters together and watch as they ping together and explode. The possibilities for mayhem offered by the grapple and tethers never gets old, and leaderboards for your various feats also keep things interesting. Just Cause 4's island is beautiful despite the odd instance of pop-in and the occasional scenery bug, trees and mountains stretching for miles in every direction, greenery giving way to snowy peaks and sandy desert plains, but stupid enemy AI that's happy to queue up in an orderly fashion to die, a disposable story, repetitive missions and lackluster presentation overall make Just Cause 4 feel rushed and rather shoddy. If it's chaos and action you crave however, then Rico's latest escapade will still leave you breathless, and maybe a little bit disappointed too.